And now next up we have three speakers from Ulster University, starting with Abby McKenna, who is Head of Apprenticeship Development. She will be followed by Dr. Mark Donnelly, who is the Course Director for the BSc in Computing Technology Degree Apprenticeship, and then Helen McKenna, who is the Course Director for the MSc in Business and Technology Graduate Apprenticeship. So Abby, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mark. As Mark said, my name's Abby McKenna and I'm Head of Apprenticeships at Ulster University. Thanks to Invest.NI for inviting me and my colleagues here this morning to share with you what Ulster University is doing in the higher level apprenticeship space and how you as employers can get involved. So really over the next 5-6 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through a brief overview of apprenticeships in Ulster and how you can get involved before passing over to my colleagues, Dr. Mark Donnelly and Helen McKenna, who'll talk to you in more detail about two of the apprenticeships which are likely to be of most interest to you. So we're going to take a stroll through the apprenticeship landscape in Ulster. And certainly Alison's touched on some of these aspects already, so I won't talk too much about things that have already been covered. But I think much of the understanding and perception of apprenticeships is tied up with the notion of trade apprenticeships, plumbers, electricians, chefs. And whilst these still exist, and the level 2 and 3 apprenticeships NI framework that Alison mentioned, there has been a modern approach to apprenticeship provision over the last few years with the development of the higher level apprenticeship framework. In Ulster, we use the terminology degree apprenticeships, where the qualification is equivalent to an undergraduate degree, and graduate apprenticeships, where the qualification is equivalent to a master's degree. What I will say is apprenticeship frameworks are not mutually exclusive. There are pathways available through the HLAs in the colleges, which then the apprentices can continue their learning with the university. So what are degree apprenticeships? Because this seems to be a bit of a grey area for many people. So I think that what is the most important aspect is that an apprenticeship is primarily a job. It doesn't matter if it's a trade apprenticeship, a higher level apprenticeship, or a degree apprenticeship. They are first and foremost about employment in a role which requires training and learning to ensure development of the relevant knowledge, skills, and competencies to become proficient in that profession or career. And whilst I have on this slide that they are employees, not students, their primary role is that of an employee. Yes, they will be in university and they will have access to all of the same services as a full-time student. They won't have the same experience, and they can't, because the majority of their time is in the workplace, and they likely will only spend 1 day a week on campus. Earn and learn, because a degree apprenticeship is a job, apprentices are paid a wage by the employer, and their study is paid for by the Department for the Economy. So they don't have the debt that a typical degree can incur. However, they are not an easy option. They're often highly competitive due to the smaller numbers available, and balancing full-time employment along with degree level study can be challenging for young people. It's also worth noting that degree apprenticeships are only available in a small number of areas. Employers cannot pick any degree and have it funded. They can only choose from those already approved by the Department for the Economy. However, we can develop new degrees at the request of employer sectors. And I think it's good to note that as employer sectors, degree apprenticeships are not open to creation by individual employers. It really is about sectoral provision for roles. Alison touched on some of the reasons that the employers recruit apprentices, and we have some up on this slide here. For some companies, it can be seen as part of their corporate social responsibility in relation to widening socio-economic backgrounds of staff. And for others, it can be about a commitment to a local workforce and the economy. It's really asking yourself the question, if your company grows, do you seek to grow talent from the ground up, or do you take your chances in sort of that experienced hire market? Hiring an apprentice is something to consider carefully. An apprentice needs time away to study, they need to be mentored, they have to have quality supervision, and that's needed to make the experience a successful experience both for the apprentice and for the employer. So what do we hear from our young people who are choosing the degree apprenticeship route? Well, it's an alternative route to gaining a degree. If you know what you're interested in and degree apprenticeships exist, then it's another consideration when they're looking towards their future. Full-time university study doesn't suit everyone. We all have different learning styles, different needs and wants, and the current options provide increased choice. Some young people just want to get out to work, and the application of learning to real life is attractive. For others, a degree apprenticeship may be the only opportunity they have to achieve a degree, as their circumstances wouldn't allow for full-time study. Alison touched on this, the commitment to social mobility and widening participation is a key part of degree apprenticeship provision. What I would say is there's no one answer as to why young people choose degree apprenticeships, only that it's another pathway that wasn't available 5 or 6 years ago, and it's a pathway worth investigating. At this moment in time, degree apprenticeships are open to all private sector employers. It doesn't matter if you're a micro business with 1 or 2 employees or a global corporate. If you have a base in Northern Ireland and can support an apprentice, then you can avail of the scheme. As Alison mentioned, they're not just open to new employees, but can also be undertaken by existing employees in new roles. And I think this is a key area to consider. As businesses reimagine and restructure due to the impact of COVID, apprenticeships and the ability to reskill existing staff for new roles in the organisation offers opportunities for employers to retain talent and redeploy into areas of skills needs. A talented workforce with the right skills, attributes, knowledge and outlook is difficult to achieve through only one route, especially in sectors with a skills gap. Degree apprenticeships enable employers to diversify a talent pipeline and identify high-performing employees at an early stage. The ability to grow their own and develop them within their organisational culture is very attractive to many employers, and certainly is one of the reasons they cite to us their reason for getting involved with apprenticeships. I hope, following sort of Alison's presentation and the start of this, that you're now starting to think about how do you get involved in this, and whether you can afford to or afford not to. So there's some key questions that as employers you need to ask yourself. Do you have the roles and the opportunities for apprentices? Do you have roles which require degree level skills? Are there positions that are difficult to fill that might meet the needs of an apprenticeship? Do you have the in-house capacity and resources to support an apprenticeship? If you are answering these questions and you do have an interest, then it's time to get in touch with the university to discuss a relevant degree apprenticeship. If you still wish to proceed, the next aspect is to advertise that apprenticeship opportunity. As we mentioned, it's about employment. The university doesn't have a pool of apprentices that you choose from. This is about recruiting to your organisation and your culture a person that meets the needs of the role that you have, but who also has the qualifications for entry to the university. It really is about a three-way partnership between the employer, the apprentice and the university. And there are administrative requirements in order to put that in place that we would cover should you wish to go down that route. So what do we cover? As I mentioned, it's really about sectoral provision. And there are 6 sectors that I would consider that Ulster currently have degree apprenticeships approved for delivery in. I'm really going to concentrate on that sort of digital technology sector because those are, I suppose, the most important area for those we have online with us today. But what this slide should exemplify is that the underpinning degree qualification can also be in demand across sectors. So once qualified, these apprentices are not limited to one sector. The most important aspect is determining what apprenticeship provision suits the role that you have available. And if we looked at computing systems, we're looking at roles such as software engineers, database analysts, full stack developers. If you look at business technology, we are looking at roles such as consulting or analysts. If we look at the financial technology, we're looking at roles such as big data analysts, blockchain developers, cybersecurity analysts. And if we look at the master's provision in business technology, these are really aimed at those with a technical background moving into roles which require stakeholder and people management. So what we're going to do next is talk to you a little bit more in depth about 2 of these key apprenticeship areas. And I'm going to hand over, if we can move to the next slide, to my colleague, Dr. Mark Donnelly, who's going to talk to you in more detail about the Computing Systems degree apprenticeship.